Nope.
And we're live. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see from this wallpaper, The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt and a bunch of random other people on Amazon Prime.
No, don't do that. Not a bunch of random other people.
No, in all honesty, there's some good actresses, good actors. The actress that plays a character we can't talk about was in The Handmaid's Tale.
Wait. Let's start off by being truthful to people. First, good morning, everybody. Clearly, if you tune in, you see this is Saturday morning, and I know you're wondering why are they talking about Tomorrow War? And this movie came out last week. Well, we saw this movie about a month ago.
Whole month ago.
And could never find time to schedule to do a review for it.
Yeah.
So we're here now. And
yeah,
the character he's talking about, at this point, you probably know who that character is.
What is her name? Yvonne. I can't pronounce her last name, but she plays the Colonel in the future. She plays the Colonel in the future that needs Chris Pratt's character, Dan, for a specific mission. And Dan, unbeknownst to us, he was, prior military as Chris Pratt's character. He's got a daughter, he's got a wife, and he's got a dad that he's been estranged from because his dad's dealing with a little bit of PTSD, played by the very own J.K. Simmons, who plays the role of James Foster, who's kind of he's off the grid, I guess. And from this point, they're looking at a broadcast, and all of a sudden, some people come from out of a portal. And they proclaim that they're coming from the future to recruit people from the past. And off the gate, that's where we kind of start from there. And then we go, I guess, like 8 years down the line, and people are panicking. They're really worried that, whatever they're talking about, that they're not going to be prepared for it. And the draft happens. The world draft happens where they're taking people from the past, transporting them to fight in the future to eradicate or try to stop or deter this impending doom of the world. So, Lucas, that's the briefest synopsis I can give without spoiling anything. First off, what was your thoughts going into the movie? Before you even watched the movie, what were your thoughts going into?
I had the slightest idea what this movie was going to be about. I had not seen a single trailer about it or anything of that nature. As you brought the film up to me and said, "Hey, we got access to Tomorrow War." The first thing I thought is, what the hell is Tomorrow War? So I decided, okay, I'm not going to watch a trailer of it. It has Chris Pratt in it. I'm assuming it's a big budget film. And then I was right. And this movie, look here. Look. I know it sounds silly. And it's a lot of trust that goes into this movie. Because if random people popped up out the blue in Washington, D.C. today and said we need to recruit people for a future mission, I don't know how many people is this going to say, "Yep, we're going to go. We're going to draft. We're going to do a draft."
Bruh, no cap. Like, honestly, I would question, because you would assess, maybe this is a different country that's trying to trick us, and they've just got this new tech. Now, there's so many questions. I wouldn't just be like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, I'll do that." You need to give me some facts. Tell me who you. Give me some blood samples. Let's do some DNA tests. Everybody in the world just believe these people. And in my opinion, the government would go and take them in for questioning, check their DNA strand, see who they're connected to.
Did you say take them in for questioning?
Yeah.
Do you not know our government? They would dissect these people who randomly showed up with guns and oh no, everybody's dying. Everybody. The government would have killed every single one. The government of the world. Because again, this is supposed to be the whole world draft. All these countries would have murdered all of these young people who just magically appeared in a stadium during a sporting event.
Yeah. Now that honestly, that felt like a terrorist kind of moment, and you kind of figure this ain't gonna fly very well. The president's be like, red alert. We got problems. They can transport. Oh no. But but yeah, it's a lot of trust, like you said, without kind of going off of that. So it's a little silly on the believability of the plot threads and how they go.
Yeah.
Even to like, Chris Pratt's character is kind of like he, was trying to get like this really cushy job, that kind of more tailors to what he wants to be right now, even though he has prior military experience. And, when you first see Chris Pratt's character, you're kind of like, I don't know if you're a military soldier or not. Like, what did you really do? And then when he finally does get drafted and gets recruited, you be like, fam, like, you're the most equipped to deal with this. Like, why would you just like nonchalantly like, I don't know, the black guy cracked me up because he was in a movie recently that I reviewed in Werewolves Within, and the black dude was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you save my life or something like that?
Oh, that is my guy, Sam Richardson.
Yep.
From Veep.
Yep.
And he has another funny movie that came out a couple years ago. It's a bad movie, but it's hilarious to me. Like it was weird because when I'm seeing him, I'm like, oh, so you're automatically putting comic relief in here. You're not even like attempting to like give you someone who can play the straight man. He can never play the straight man.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw me off again, along with the other black man. And eventually we're going to say their names. But the other black man who's supposed to be
Dorwin,
the veteran,
Dorian, something like that.
He's supposed to be the veteran who is the world's worst veteran humanly possible. How is it if you've been there 3 times that Chris Pratt is automatically more equipped to handle this situation than you?
So it's okay. So I'm gonna say this to his defense. I think he was just doing that because when you find out something about him, this is minor spoilers. If you hadn't seen the movie, we apologize. But he has cancer and he doesn't have a lot of time to live. So every time he goes in, it's kind of like for him, he's kind of like cheating death. I don't think he was fighting to try to gain anything. He was kind of just like, yeah, I'm gonna keep a group of y'all alive and we're just gonna keep it moving because this war is never gonna end. Like, I don't think he ever felt like what he was doing was gonna come to some kind of resolve.
He was taking souvenirs, Samuel.
Souvenirs. He did.
Like it did. Come on, man.
I don't know how did he get away with that, by the way? How did he come back and they just were like, yeah, we got to confiscate that? Like, what is this? Because I mean, this is the thing. Everybody that gets recruited and drafted has no idea what they're actually fighting. And like his wife, Chris Pratt's wife, is dealing with, people that are coming back from the war with all this PTSD, lost limbs and everything, but nobody's talking about it. And I was like, did they have to sign a waiver or NDA? Like, nobody's saying anything.
And welcome into the other unbelievable part of this movie. Do you think that could happen? You send people to the future, and what they say, 30% come back, and they don't tell you everything? No. The people would have been snitching. Everybody would know these monsters that are floating around here. There's no way they're going to hold that secret in, buddy.
Right. I just didn't think that was a believable side of it. Now, I will say this. The things that I really did like was the design of the monsters. Because this is the first time that I was kind of like, okay, the monsters, one, they're vicious. They're fast. They don't care. Anything in their sight, they're just going to destroy. But they could actually shoot projectiles. And I was like, how do you survive this war? Like, y'all are not going to survive this. When Chris Pratt, like, there's a moment where the colonel goes down into a hole, to try to equip the queen to kind of get her, like, pushed out of there. And she just goes in there by herself and she's just stuck there. And I was like, oh, she about to die. There's no way. Like, they come in swarms, like ants. Like, it literally felt like monster ants that are just coming in waves. And Chris Pratt decides to just, yeah, I'm gonna nonchalantly, I'm gonna go save this girl. And I was like, bruh, there's no way. Like, he's a savage. I'm not taking anything against his capability as a character. It's very unbelievable. He's a savage though. But it was just like the way that the monsters moved, like just from the projectiles alone, like I was like, there's no way anybody's coming back from this.
This is 2021's version of Starship Troopers. That's
You're right.
all I kept on thinking
You're right.
as I
You're
see
right.
the swarm map. I'm like, oh, this is Starship Troopers all over again.
You're right.
Okay. And Chris Pratt is Casper Van Dien.
Right.
Got it.
Rico.
Like, yeah.
Rico, absolutely.
You're like, okay. But again, and not to make it sound like this movie is horrible in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I think the comparison to Starship Troopers fits best. It may not be the best movie, but for the most part, it is entertaining.
It is. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, it is very that third act is not good in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But before you get to the third act, the way they build the suspense around that last group being teleported to the future,
that jump was
everything
crazy.
that happens,
that jump was crazy.
It's a great setup.
Yeah, it was some great gunplay, choreography, the suspense behind like what was happening. Because it was kind of like the whole entire time you were kind of trying to figure out why did they need Chris Pratt there?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, should we just go ahead and say it at this point?
I'm about to say, look here. I told you we could do a spoiler review. It wouldn't matter anyway. It debuted on Amazon a week ago. Most people who possibly wanted to see it have seen it. We know it got a big audience. They've already greenlit a sequel for this movie.
Yeah, it's true. Greenlit it, like Prime greenlit it. Like it's not normal. So just so you know,
especially for a film that Amazon bought from, I want to say Paramount. Like this is not an Amazon original, meaning Amazon paid for it. They bought the film, and for them to buy the film, it comes out. Analytics must have showed something that a week later they say, "Yep, we're doing a sequel."
Yep. So it's doing some job, and a lot of you guys, it seemed like y'all really enjoyed it, and that was another reason why we kind of like we got to talk about this, we got to review it. But the spoiler is this: the Colonel is recruiting him because, lo and behold, he finds out this is his daughter in the future. And it's funny because the daughter, when you first meet her as a little girl, like she loves and idolizes her dad. She wants to be him. She's really techie. She knows how to fix things. And she also loves the science side of this. You find out in the future that she is the only one that is almost about to find a solution to this infestation that's going to eradicate the world in a short amount of time. The problem is that I can't remember really good, Lucas, but the way that they're transporting people back, they can only transport them back 8 years. Is it something like that?
Yeah, and you can only transport back young people too.
Yeah. And so because they couldn't do that, they know that their time is limited. And not just that, the transport machine is almost about to be gone. Yeah. So at a certain point, they're not going to be able to even get people forward to try to even stop it. They're just trying to bring bodies, honestly, enough bodies to try to find the solution so that they can wipe these things out. And she's the person that comes up with the solution. But she knows for a fact that her dad is more than capable of being able to help her. And at the very least, I think a part of her wanted to see her dad again. Now, this is the interesting thing I felt could have been better, but I felt like it worked in a silly film like this is the foreshadowing. So when you first see Chris Pratt, they talk about J.K. Simmons' character, and their relationship is very strained. Like he kind of had PTSD. He walked out on them, and Chris Pratt's character is like, I would never do that to my family and stuff like that. And when he meets his daughter in the future, she's like, Ninja, you did the same thing. I was just like, God damn, flip. But I mean, when you think about what was going on in the future and everything that he's probably dealing with mentally and emotionally, you can be like, oh, okay, I can see that. And it's just like, it's a cycle that's happening. But the difference is that Chris Pratt had to go back and kind of eat crow, talk to his dad about, I really need you. And I understand what happened, and his dad, J.K. Simmons, he was like more than willing to go and fight for his family and for his son. But I mean, J.K. Simmons was swole, bro. Like this Joker was like
this was between those Warner Brother movies where he worked out for no reason.
Right. Right. Like he was I was like, God dog, J.K., what are you preparing for, dude?
So all of those workout videos we saw with J.K. Simmons, and we assume It was for something to do with Warner Brothers. The whole time it was for Tomorrow War. It had nothing to do with Warner Brothers.
Right. Like, I was just like, this dude, man, he's scary, bro. he was not playing any games. He was a sharpshooter. Like, he kind of had his own little, mission of his own. And I'll try to pull up the picture so you guys can know for a point of reference. This is it. This is the picture.
Yep.
Everybody was like, why is Jim Gordon so freaking big? And now we know. Now we know he was preparing for this role. And I think he never said, like, I was doing this. He's like nonchalant, like, I was just working out just to work out. But now we know he was getting fit for this role. And I was just like, daggone. So that's one thing I'll say. They did save his character some kind of crazy way. Like, it was weird though, because at the end he was willing to sacrifice himself for his son. But at a certain point, his son was willing to sacrifice himself for his dad. As cheesy as the way that scene worked out, I appreciated it because I was kind of like, it's a progression of these characters. The characters are evolving. It's just, I don't know. It's a combination of silliness and foolishness, but entertaining. Like, it's very entertaining film. We were talking about a long time ago. Me and Lucas was like talking about films that are great films and films that are very entertaining. And I think that this film lies in that entertaining section.
Yes, because as people who review film, if you broke this down, it's probably a bad movie. But it also felt, from the moment it came on, like a classic summer blockbuster.
It did.
It doesn't make much sense. But when you see the actors having fun, and the lead is very charismatic, it translates to the film. And that's what you get from Tomorrow War. You get Chris Pratt in possibly one of his best roles as a lead. And I know that sounds odd to lots of people out there, but he does great when he can be overly silly in these type of films. And this one fits him to a T. And then you just get everyone else being silly with him. And then they're fighting the Quiet Place monsters that can now shoot projectiles.
Exactly.
Like, how could this be bad? How could it be bad? That's the key part. Because again, I never thought, well, this plot doesn't make sense. I never thought this shot wasn't set up properly. No, I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna, the moment they landed in the stadium, I said, yep, shut the brain off. This is gonna be nothing but an action movie. And it works so well on that level. Again, the third act is not the best. That's just because they moving it back to present time and then dealing with everything they dealt with of finding out the origins of the monsters just felt like it slowed it down.
Yeah, a little bit.
But that second act is so good. So good. It can erase some of the badness of the third act and really get you engaged in it. Because again, by the end of the second act, you love these characters, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
They even managed to pull heartfelt deaths with characters whose names I don't know.
Exactly.
Like, they never introduced these characters' names. But when you get to the scene under the bridge,
that was rough. That was a rough scene.
Man, I said, oh,
that was a rough scene.
How is it that you can make me care about these characters that have no names?
Right.
And the point they had no names, I knew they were going to die.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was like a mom or something like that, right?
Yes.
And like, she was like, I was kind of like, oh man, she's gonna be annoyed. It's like, nah, she's like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna play the role, you know what I'm saying?
The moment she said, no, you all go.
I was like, no, and the heavyset dude too.
Yeah.
Like, both of them just stayed back, and I was like, dang, y'all about to kill these characters. But yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up is when you look at this picture, right? This is all the same movie. But it don't look like it should fit, right? Like, this don't look like it should fit. Like, one of these looks like War of the Worlds or maybe World War Z. The top one looks like a Christmas movie. The other one looks like something that came from Sicario. And the third bottom left one like a Christopher Nolan movie. And you're just like, how does this fit in one movie? But the director pulls it off, you know.
Hey, every bit of it is entertaining. That's the key part there. I think when you take away the seriousness of it, and that's they could have went down the road and made this movie too serious. And if they did, it wouldn't have been fun. And when you take away the fun, people are not going to be interested in the film. Here, it's just all silly. And you're like, unlike another action movie that came out that took itself way too seriously and attempted to interject humor, and it never worked. This one interjects it, and it actually works.
Yeah.
And all credit goes to Sam Richardson, who I really, really like as an actor anyway. But even when he's being overly silly, it really works here. Because again, as Sam said at the beginning, when the first thing he basically said is, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Please keep me alive." Like that's all you needed. It looks like Sam is frozen. If we're live on air, I'm not 1,000% sure if he's frozen. Oh, nope, his eyes moved. About to say, because if random people just pop into his house, hey, don't go to the future with them. I'm letting you know. Don't go to the future with them. It ain't gonna be good.
Hey, look, if you see me looking up like that and there's the distress on my voice and I run that way, look, call the police immediately.
Hey, I'm just letting you know. Time travel for Black people will never work out well. The fear ain't even going to the future. The fear is to put you back in the past.
Bruh, no, I don't need to go in the past, man. I don't need to go in the past. Anything past 1980, don't take me nowhere.
Exactly.
Anything past 1980, I'm good, bro. But so there's a scene, right? And I felt like this is when the movie, I was like, what am I watching? When they dropped in, when they, it was kind of like everybody was like, all right, I'm prepared, I'm hyped, I'm kind of scared. And like they go through the little portal. When they drop in, that sequence, that jump was amazing.
Yeah.
Because that jump was terrifying. Like people were dropping in and dying instantly. People were dropping in without limbs. People were dropping in like getting killed. And then the fortunate ones fell into the pool. But just to look at the world burning, bro, like I don't know how you wouldn't come back from this, sane. Yeah. I mean, just that amount of devastation and craziness, like it was amazing setup. Because then I didn't know what kind of film I was watching. I was like, is this going to be completely dark the rest of the movie? I was like, I don't know if I'm prepared for that, But they found a way of keeping the tone a certain kind of way, but at the same time, escalating the amount of action and the progression of it and the tension of it in the second act. That, like Lucas said, I think that they really did knock it out the park, I guess, in so many respects.
Hey, again, it's a summer movie. This is what we used to go to the theaters to see. This is a True Lies, a Terminator, those type of films where it's not meant to be taken over seriously. It's meant to be a nice action film that you can just go to theaters and not think of anything else when you go see it. And that's what makes Tomorrow War work, is that it still feels that way. It never takes itself too seriously, even including in the drop-in scene, which, as Sam said, is a great scene to look at. But when you see the drop-in scene and you see their reaction to this new world, the film quickly pushes to a different place to take away that look so it doesn't stay too serious. Because again, that scene could have been very reminiscent of the Joker Batman scene in the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, and it could have taken itself way too seriously. But instead, we get off of the top of the high rise, and then when we get off the top of the high rise and we get just them attempting to now, I was about to say microfilm, but find a cure or a portion of the cure that they've been looking for. It gets serious, but it's also an element of humor in it that really works for it at that time. And when you get it that way, a movie like Tomorrow War will always work for you. Or not work for you. It all depends on how you view work for you. Because again, this is Starship Troopers to me all over again. Or I'm trying to think of another silly, like summer sci-fi type of film. Like nothing too serious, nothing overly done. It's just fun to watch. And if you can tune into it, have fun watching it, it could really work for you, as long as, again, you don't focus on plot, you don't focus on acting, you don't focus at times, even though we did praise the director for the drop-in scene, if you don't focus on the direction of the film, if you don't focus or overly focus on these things, you're gonna get an enjoyable film. And that's the basics of what we get for summer blockbusters, is those type of movies where you could just not take anything seriously. And you'd be like, oh man, like this makes absolutely no sense, but it works. This is our new replacement of a Transformers film, because we're not going to get one in 2021. Here's your Transformers film. Not the bad ones, not the bad ones, but like the early Transformer, like the first Transformer movie, which is not a good movie, but it was enjoyable. That's what Tomorrow War is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask a trigger question for you Marvel fans. Please don't get upset with me, okay?
Oh shit!
I'm asking Lucas a question. If you had to pick one that was the most entertaining, not good, just most entertaining between Black Widow, what would it be?
I thought she was about to give me a third option.
No, I was not gonna do that. It's not even worth going on there.
I already know how. Anyone who saw our live review of Black Widow knows what I thought about that movie. And amazingly weird, a movie named Tomorrow War has less CGI than Black Widow. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how that's possible. This is a more fun film. That's the issue. Yeah. Like Black Widow was next to never fun, unless you're someone who loves Marvel movies. This movie was always just fun. But you can also say that, with Black Widow's opening, it set a tone.
It did.
This movie never, even when we do the drop-in scene, as I said, doesn't fully set a tone.
Nope.
It shows you the world, and then they transition to a different scene to take away some of the seriousness.
Yep.
And that's the difference between the two. So from that level, of course, this is more entertaining than Black Widow. I can name a multitude of movies that we've seen recently that is more entertaining than Black Widow. Tomorrow War just happens to be one of them, just because it's overly silly. Yeah. Or if you think about it from a Marvel perspective, it's because, and this is giving credit to them, they understood when they got Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy his potential.
They did.
No one has ever said Scarlett Johansson is as charismatic or engaging as Chris Pratt is. And no one would. Not a single soul. And she's not. And because of that reason, all you got to do is look at the two supposed leads of the film. And you see the difference in the two, and the difference in the entertainment value. Is that you're engaged by Chris Pratt. You're not engaged by Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. So that's why Tomorrow War works better.
Yep, I just had to put that out there. So, what do you give this as a rating?
No.
should we do letters this time instead of numbers? Because I feel like it don't even make sense to do numbers for this.
Yes. And boy, listen. I'm going to give it two numbers, two letters. I'm sorry, I'll give it two letters here. The critic part of me says this movie's a D. Hands down, like this is a D movie. If you're judging on the scale of what you expect to get in this season of films, which is the summer movie season, it's a solid B. It's a solid B. It's gonna give you everything you need out of a summer movie. And again, you don't judge summer movies like you judge fall movies. You can let things go when you're just going into a theater to watch a movie and not necessarily dissect the movie. And I don't think at any point in time, and this is rare that it happens, that I didn't dissect this film. Because again, I knew what I was getting. I said, oh, yep, nope.
Yeah. So for me, I would rest it like from an entertainment value standpoint, and just as a summer movie, like fun. I was giving it like a B+, C- as a critic. Like, I mean, it's weird. I've been seeing so many bad movies and then some good movies, and it's kind of like, even though I hadn't seen this in a month, I would possibly watch it again just to see some of those dope scenes and some of the humor. Like you said, Sam Richardson is hilarious, and Chris Pratt like knows how to carry some action scenes pretty well, and then also from an entertainment standpoint, just from a charismatic standpoint, and also some of the dynamics between the father and the daughter, I felt very intriguing based on his also relationship with J.K. Simmons, his dad. But yeah, B plus for me as a critic, C minus. We're gonna be coming back later on to give you guys a in-depth review on Fear Street whenever we get the third movie. We're gonna be breaking that down because I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about that. I'm so excited. I was so jealous. I was like, Lucas get to talk about these by himself. I was like, Flip, I want to talk about Fear Street, dagnabbit. But we're gonna go. You got anything else to leave these people?
This is a good rebound from Without Remorse, which was a horrible movie that took itself way too seriously. And I think Amazon learned, like, hey, if we're gonna buy these movies, let's not just buy for a name. You're gonna have to pick up films that really work for your service, and this movie works for their service.
Yep, I agree. On that note, you guys, we'll be back. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell button. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook family. If you're watching this, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you share this review. YouTube family, make sure you like this and comment what you thought about Tomorrow War. We will be back much later on for more reviews.
Certain show that we got to review.